All right, so final Trevor Lawrence preseason breakdown before we get to see him in the regular season, and I thought he was really good. I thought this was, quite frankly, awesome, and it's maybe the best preseason performance we've seen out of a quarterback so far, out of a rookie quarterback so far, so that's really awesome to see. I thought that he did a lot very well. I did. He was basically perfect. I mean, I don't really have any negatives, and I have plenty of positives, and I think he's the first guy I can really say that. Some Zach Wilson games, perhaps, you could argue. Some Mac Jones games, perhaps, you could argue. But he was right up there. I mean, he looked fantastic. So let's get into the film study, and let's talk about why I think he did so well. So we'll start off with this play. What's going to happen here is that it's going to be, this was, a great deep ball, man coverage. It's a single safety deep coverage. So, only one safety deep. You got to go out towards the sideline. Makes sense to take this chance. Kind of worth noting, right now, Dallas is showing as though it could be a two safety look. That's kind of what it looks like pre-snap, but that's not the case. So this is going to be a pretty good read by Lawrence to pick up on that, because if this was a cover two play, then you probably wouldn't want to throw deep. So that's worth mentioning as well. Kind of an underrated aspect of this play is the read. But anyways, so go route and watch what happens. Lawrence takes the snap. He does look up, see the single safety deep coverage, so he takes this chance. And first off, I mean, that throw is just a thing of beauty, isn't it? Just the way it looks. I've never seen a ball just look as pretty as the ones that Trevor Lawrence throws. Doesn't mean, he's the best quarterback ever or anything like that, but it's just such a pretty ball. And you see now that there is an opening right here for him to make this throw, and it's far down the field, but again, Lawrence can make these throws. Look, just a thing of beauty. I mean, again, if we want to get nitpicky, we could say he could have let him a little bit, could have, thrown it over the middle a little bit more. But keep in mind, there was a safety there. So he can't just, completely put a bunch of air under it and let his receiver get there. Because of the safety, he has to get it there in a hurry. So, I mean, that's a higher degree of difficulty play that he really made work. There was also something like this, and this is not going to be a high degree of difficulty play, but that's kind of the thing about Lawrence, is he can make the tough plays, but he also just makes the simple plays 100% of the time, it seems like. He doesn't miss these easy throws. He really doesn't. So it's man coverage, and you have a receiver who's going to be running, it's a double move right here. So he fakes as though he's going to the outside, and then he's going to, run deep. But what's going to be great about this, again, these plays look great on the surface, but when you actually get into the film study and really start paying attention to the details, you notice just how much he does well. Because Lawrence is going to really help make this play work with a small thing he does at the beginning of this play. He takes a snap, and look at that little pump fake right there. That little fake sold the play, because you see how open it is. Well, the Dallas defender got completely fooled. He started running in, largely because he was looking at Lawrence and thought that sort of throw was going, which makes some sense. So that small thing right there, not a lot of NFL quarterbacks do that. Trevor Lawrence did. That's a subtle move, but it really, paid dividends right there. Something like this was great. We've seen this a couple of times where they're not afraid to have Trevor Lawrence roll out a little bit. It's going to be zone coverage, and, it is a rollout to the top of the screen. You have receivers then running over, and the way this play works is it's a pretty simple concept, but it can be effective. Since Dallas is playing zone coverage here, and you have a good idea that they will be playing zone coverage, you have a concept where your receiver on the offense's right runs deep. That's going to push the corner who's covering that area further deep. And then you have multiple tight ends kind of roll out, one underneath and one a little bit further deep. There's only going to be one Dallas player in the area. He can't cover them both unless another Dallas player reads this play and runs over and covers the other guy, which can happen. And in fact, as you see, once this play starts, so 38, the corner who is all the way on the other side of the field, read this play well, and so he's doing a good job of trying to get back into the play. There is some separation, and also worth mentioning, Lawrence, throwing on the run right here, because he has to. But again, just a beautifully accurate throw, and this is what people love about Lawrence. This is what I love about Lawrence. It's his incredible arm talent. He is athletic. He can move. And it's the great arm talent mixed with just incredible accuracy. He just will throw. And, on these even like medium degree of difficulty plays, he doesn't miss. This play was interesting. So this was the first incompletion. What's going to happen is, so it's kind of looking as though it's a cover one man blitz. That's what I would project if I was Lawrence right now, is probably thinking this, especially a little bit earlier. Now a linebacker has kind of moved over a little bit, which could be a bit of a tell, but 2 seconds ago, that wasn't there. So If Lawrence believes this is man coverage, I don't blame him at all. It's what I would have thought. It's actually cover 2 zone right here, which is, interesting. It's a good disguise, I would say. You don't see a ton of this in the preseason. You see more of this in the regular season. You also don't see a ton of this in college. But the reason why it's important to bring that up is because of the way this play is going to actually go down. So you have this concept where your number 1 receiver is going to run a slant route. Your number 2 receiver runs a route that can kind of go a little bit further deep. And so typically going after the slant route, especially if you believe this is man coverage, there's some real logic there. And look, right when this play starts, so this is interesting defense by Dallas. So you see that number 40 there, we know that he can get a little bit quick in the way that he makes his moves, as what we saw earlier in this game. So he's going in to cover up 19 for Jacksonville. But what's interesting about this is thinking that it's man coverage, I can understand the logic for Lawrence to just fire this one in there because, it's going to be tough. You can try to get to a second read, but who knows if that'll be open. However, if you knew this was cover 2 zone at this point, you would then realize that you have another receiver who's going to get open sort of past that point, right? Because the corner has moved so far in, another receiver is running sort of in his area, but further deep. He's going to get open, but Lawrence is not aware that this is zone coverage right here, which to me, I would say is understandable. Part of me wanted to say this is a negative, but the more I think about it, I don't know any rookie in NFL history that makes this read. I mean, you have to pre-snap realize, oh, it's zone coverage. And then you not only that, have to realize that a player is acting as though it's man coverage despite it being zone coverage, which means that you should actually throw over the top. That's a lot for him to do. I can't really blame him for not doing it. And even this throw had a chance of being complete, quite frankly, although probably was never going to be a first down right there. So, again, maybe Tom Brady makes that read, but I can't expect Trevor Lawrence to be Tom Brady, certainly not today, right? And then this play was, hilarious, I thought, where what's going to happen is it's man coverage. Laviska Shenault, who looked good out there, by the way, you see the route, that's what he's running. And what's funny about this is, so right when this play starts, Lawrence is going to take the snap, and you see at this point, Shenault gets a little bit open, and, I followed Trevor Lawrence very closely in college. I watched every one of his games that he had in college when I was preparing for the draft, and right when I saw this, I was like, okay, it's a touchdown. You just know he's going to make this throw, and that's just what makes him such a big prospect, is you can just feel so comfortable in these situations. Of course, he does make this throw, and again, it's not the highest degree of difficulty play you'll ever see, but it's less about the high degree of difficulty and more about just the insane consistency with Lawrence. So yeah, I mean, listen, after that Saints preseason game, I kind of pumped the brakes a little bit and said, guys, let's not freak out. I think that this is what the Saints defense does to people, and I think that now you see, granted, you could argue this is what the Cowboys defense does to people, is it makes them look good. But I think that this was a good performance by him, and I still stand by when it comes to evaluating the preseason. The issue with it is less about who you're going up against, and it's more about the sample size of the games. You get a small sample size, so it's hard to really evaluate. But from what we saw of him, he did look good. Does it change how I feel about him? No, I still think he's a great talent. I still think he'll be awesome. I felt that way, throughout. So, but yeah, it's fun to look at this stuff. I thought it was a fun performance by him. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.